Trump administration has just told states to undo full SNAP benefits, effectively cutting food stamp payments back down after a Supreme Court decision to put the program on hold. New guidance from the U.S. Department of Agriculture insists states to issue partial SNAP payments only, following the court's stay of a lower ruling that had ordered full benefits for November. Before this guidance, several states, including California, Wisconsin, Delaware, had planned to or already have paid out full benefits. Some even promised to use their own funds to cover the shortfall. But USDA now says that any state that moved forward with full payments acted without authorization. That means millions of families who expected full food assistance could see their benefits reduced or delayed. SNAP, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, serves more than 42 million Americans, mostly children, seniors, and working families. So this latest move adds confusion, uncertainty at a time when many households are already struggling with just staying fed.
This administration is actively preventing people from getting their SNAP benefits. Yep, that's right. Donald Trump and his administration have filed an appeal, an emergency appeal, to prevent the release of funds that would allow people to get these benefits. So he has made it very clear to this country that he is okay with people starving. This is the same person who tried to appeal to lower and middle class people that he would work for them. Many of those people voted for him. And now they are without their funds. Now they are unable to feed their family. And just as a reminder, Donald Trump is spending $300 million on a ballroom.
So just to be clear, the Trump administration said they weren't going to send out SNAP benefits in the month of November and that it was Democrats' fault. And then everyone collectively was like, well, why don't you use the contingency funds that you have specifically set aside to send out SNAP benefits in the case of a government shutdown? And then the Trump administration was like, no, it's illegal for us to use our contingency funds to send out SNAP benefits if there's a government shutdown. And then everyone was like, well, then why did you send out a plan in September saying that you were going to use the contingency funds in case of a government shutdown? And the Trump administration was like, our hands are tied. It's illegal and it's Democrats' fault that we're not sending out SNAP benefits. And then a judge said, not only is it not illegal for you to use the contingency funds, but in fact, you actually have to use the contingency funds and you need to send out SNAP benefits in November. And then Trump went to Truth Social and was like, I'm still not going to do it though. And then an appeals judge was like, no, you don't understand. You have to send out SNAP benefits in November with the contingency funds. And then the Trump administration said, I'm going to go ask the Supreme Court because we still don't want to do it and we still want to blame Democrats for SNAP benefits not going out in November.
It is Sunday, November 9th, and there's been yet another update with SNAP benefits. The Trump administration is telling states that they must undo efforts to disperse full SNAP benefits for the month of November. If not, that could result in the cancellation of future federal funds. Here's an article by NBC News. The U.S. Department of Agriculture said states that issued full November SNAP benefits to recipients following a court decision should immediately undo the distributions, and that failure to comply could result in the cancellation of future federal funds. This is something that the Deputy Undersecretary for Food, Nutrition, and Consumer Services said, quote, to the extent states sent full SNAP payment files for November 2025, this was unauthorized. Accordingly, states must immediately undo any steps taken to issue full SNAP benefits for November 2025. There have been different court decisions on whether the Trump administration should fund full SNAP benefits in the month of November while this government shutdown continues. This is the latest one. The Supreme Court on Friday paused the distribution of full SNAP benefits, sending the case back to a lower court. But before that, there was a federal judge that had said the Trump administration had to fund full SNAP benefits for the month of November. So there were people on Friday who said they had received their SNAP benefits in full for the month of November. For example, I'm a reporter in the Bay Area, and in Santa Clara County, the county said for people who usually get those SNAP benefits between the 1st and the 7th of the month, they should have gotten those full SNAP benefits on Friday, November 7th. As we know, this comes amid a government shutdown. There's a legal battle over how much the Trump administration needs to fund SNAP during this government shutdown. And I keep saying this, but at the center of all of this are families. families who depend on this money to feed themselves and their families.
This USDA memo should make everyone furious. So, after the Supreme Court temporarily blocked the lower court orders that said release full SNAP benefits, the USDA told states, if you've already sent that money out, undo it. So yeah, they're literally telling states to take food back from families, warning that they'll face federal fines if they don't. And this isn't rumor. This is straight from the USDA's own memo released on November 8th. I have never seen the USDA used this way, not to feed people, but to police hunger. That memo reads like a threat. Comply or pay. And here's the question every American should be asking. Why fight this hard to stop people from eating? If the funds are not available, as it states in their memo, then where did it go? Congress already appropriated them. If they've been reallocated, that's not budgeting. That's theft. So no, this isn't about legalities anymore. It's about a government so desperate to hide what it's done that it's punishing states for feeding their own people. Pay attention, because if they can claw back food aid today, nothing's safe tomorrow.
So there's been a lot of back and forth regarding these SNAP benefits. Trump canceled the benefits. The courts ordered the Trump administration to pay the benefits out. Trump said no. And now some people got their full benefits. Some people only got half. Some people didn't get anything. It's just a big mess. And now people are speculating that the Trump administration may have spent the damn food stamp money. People are saying that they can't pay the benefits out because the money is gone. Where did the money go? Do y'all believe they stole that money? I believe it. I don't put nothing past Trump. He is a felon, and I'm not saying that all convicted felons steal food stamp money. I'm saying this convicted felon might steal some food stamp money. Well, not some of it. He might steal all of it. He might have stolen all of it, but I don't know yet. This is all alleged. And if the money is indeed where it's supposed to be, show us. Log into the food stamp checking account and take a screenshot and let us see it. And if you do have some extra, Zelle me like $50,000 or something. I won't tell nobody.
So the fucking Trump admin is telling the states that paid out partial or full SNAP benefits for the month of November, they have to undo that. It is unclear how they are expected to undo these payments. The deputy undersecretary of Trump's fucking USDA wrote a memo saying that this all has to be undone. And this is what he said. Failure to comply with this memorandum may result in the USDA taking various actions, including cancellation of the federal share of state administrative costs and holding states liable for any overissuances that results from the noncompliance. What the fuck? The good news is that a lot of the states are saying no. And a lot of the states are saying, see you in fucking court. So yeah, welcome to episode 9296 of things Kamala Harris would not be doing if she were president. You know, despite all of the people who said that she would be exactly the same as Trump. So, you know, fucking lying. But here's the deal. Patrick A. Penn is the one who penned the memo to all of the states saying that you have to undo these payments. And this is related to that social experiment that Nikki Haley is doing where she calls all the churches, because Patrick A. Penn, he's a Christian. His wife volunteers at a church in Kansas called like Central Christ Church or something. Maybe Nikki Haley should call that church to see whether or not they would donate one thing of formula to a starving baby. Because I'm betting you right now, they would say no. And this is purely based on their parishioners, Patrick A. Penn and Talia Penn, who are perfectly okay sending a memo to all of the states who have dispersed SNAP benefits and then threatening with federal action. This is how bad the Trump administration does not want to pay for SNAP benefits for food for American people. But yeah, Kamala Harris would not fucking be doing this. Every single person who could not bring themselves to vote for her, this is on you.
The USDA, they just dropped a bombshell. They said that, you know them folks with SNAP benefits, if you give them any assistance, any discounts, any type of breaks on food prices, you in trouble for trying to help.
Context.
That is
businesses assisting people on SNAP.
During the shutdown. That means right now, while families are not receiving their SNAP benefits, you help anybody that is down and out that and have a SNAP card. In this particular instance, that has a SNAP card, they will be penalized in some way, shape, fashion, or form. They can't do that because it's quote unquote discrimination. That particular law that was made at the time it was made,
the Food and Nutrition Act of 2008.
And I'm just a common sense person with basic human decency, and I understand that the law was made so that people who get food stamps don't be discriminated against when they go into a store and they try to use their stamps. They're turning that around so that people who don't have stamps, they can't feel discriminated against. Let's say
me trying to give an example.
We are at a marina full of all different types of boats. Big 60-foot yachts. They look like small buildings. Then there's just regular yachts or regular boats that, just you and your friends, you on there, y'all chilling for the day. But then there's boats, working class boats, that people need parts and pieces. They keep falling off. But these are the particular boats that make sure that people in the big yachts keep going and they got all their stuff. They're working for the big yachts. That their boats now start to sink. Now their boats have holes in them. Now their boats are going underwater. Now the people in the middle boats that they don't got as much as them, but they don't have as low as the other. They're right there in the middle. They know that they're like, oh my God, they over there, they sinking. They sinking. I know I got a bucket over here. I know I got a life raft. Let me go ahead and let me help them. Let me help them. But then the people in the big boats is like, nah, don't help them. Don't help them because it's unfair to us that you helping them. Even though our boats ain't sinking, but you discriminating against us because we want life rafts too. But they got all the life rafts and all the equipment to make sure that those little boats don't even fall. They can actually help. I don't know if I'm making sense to some. I feel like I'm making sense. I really do. The government having grand parties, building grand ballrooms. Called Donald Trump Marie Antoinette. Let them eat cake. Marie Antoinette ass got her head chopped off. I'm just saying, I ain't chopping nobody's head off. I ain't got it in my bones or my blood. But just as quick as an uprising happened before, an uprising can happen, and they might not do it at the Capitol. They could surely do it at the White House.
So at the top of the USDA's website, you'll see this. It says Senate Democrats have voted 14 times against reopening the government. This compromises not only SNAP, but farm programs, food inspection, animal and plant disease protection, rural development, and protecting federal lands. Senate Democrats are withholding services to the American people in exchange for health care for illegals, gender mutilation, and other unknown leverage points. Now, I read that banner because they just sent out a memo to the states. And so you'll see what they say to the states as opposed to what they write in the fucking banner, and you'll just see the hypocrisy. I probably don't even need to point it out. It says this memorandum is a follow-up to the guidance shared on October 10th, 24th, November 4th, 5th, and 7th regarding SNAP. The U.S. Supreme Court granted the U.S. Department of Agriculture an administrative stay of the orders issued by the District Court of Rhode Island. Pending any explicit direction to the contrary from Food and Nutrition Services, states must not transmit full benefit issuance files to EBT processors. Instead, States must continue to process and load the partial issuance files that reflect the 35% reduction of maximum allotments detailed in the November 5th guidance. It goes on, to the extent states sent full SNAP payment files for November 2025, this was not authorized. Accordingly, states must immediately undo any steps taken to issue full SNAP benefits for November. Please advise the appropriate FNS regional office representative of steps taken to correct any actions taken that do not comply with this memorandum. Failure to comply with this memorandum may result in the USDA taking various actions, including cancellation of the federal share of state administrative costs and holding states liable for any overissuances that result from non-compliance. We are committed to keeping you as up-to-date as possible and appreciate your continued partnership to serve program beneficiaries across the country. Really? So on one hand, they got a big-ass red banner across the top. It's like, oh, Democrats are trying to hurt you. They're keeping the government shut down because of gender mutilation and all of this crazy shit. And then they send out a memo and they're like, you're going to get in trouble if you send out the full allotment for benefits. You can only send 65% because that's what we told you. So much for states' rights. Am I right? Or am I a Republican? He wants to starve your children. He wants your children to be unalived due to starvation. That's the kind of man that Donald Trump is. This billionaire motherfucker that put 13 billionaires in his cabinet is trying to take from you the very little that this fucking government, the richest government on planet Earth, the very little that they give you, he wants to take it back and then try and say, the Democrat did it. This man is a fucking psychopath, and anybody that supports this man is a fucking psychopath too. Fuck you.
Well, just when you thought he couldn't get any worse, the President of the United States has now instructed states to take food out of the mouths of children. He came out and said that the states that went ahead and paid SNAP benefits, either in full or partial, were not authorized to do so, and they should make efforts to reverse it. Back when these two federal judges declared that he had to pay these SNAP benefits, some states scrambled overnight to access the funds and send them to people so they could eat. And the president said, you can't do that. Now that they have the money, he's literally trying to get it back. It's not just that he doesn't want to pay it, but when states went ahead and made this decision because people were going to lose their lives, he now wants to take that money back. There are no limits to how awful and cruel he can get. So if you're MAGA and you're on your way to church today, you better turn around because you don't belong anywhere near a church.
If you received your SNAP benefits recently in full, the Trump administration is going to take those back. And no, this isn't fear-mongering. The USDA released a memo this morning stating that a federal judge put a stay on requiring the Trump administration to pay out full SNAP benefits, and they're requiring all states that paid out full SNAP benefits to immediately undo what they've done. Basically, what happened recently is a federal judge ordered the Trump administration to pay out full SNAP benefits. He begged them not to pay out full SNAP benefits. The federal judge agreed. And now, currently, the motion is to only pay out 65% of SNAP benefits. So any state who paid out full benefits 100% needs to undo what they've done. And if they don't, they will face financial repercussions. Obviously a loss for words. Crazy times we live in, but also, how are you going to do that? Some people probably already spent all of their SNAP benefits. What if you only get $200 and they want to take away a certain percentage to get it to 65%? Like, what's done is done. I don't really see how they're going to be able to do this. So, but just beware that if you receive SNAP, you might receive a notification that some of it's going to be taken away.
Millions of families were finally told their food benefits were safe. And now the USDA has ordered states to reverse them. And they're calling those payments unauthorized, even though states were following a federal court order at the time. This all started when a judge said states could send out full benefits for November, and some did. And then the Supreme Court stepped in and paused that ruling, as we know. And now the USDA is telling states they went too far, creating total chaos for people who depend on this to eat. Some states are standing their ground, saying they followed the law and won't claw back benefits. Others are freezing payments until they get clarity. Either way, millions of families are stuck in the middle of the fight that they didn't start. The USDA says states could lose federal funding if they don't undo what they've already done. And states said that that would cause catastrophic harm. So this is what happens when the people running things play politics with hunger. Families are left scared, uncertain, and completely forgotten. Share this so people understand what's really going on, because this story affects every family that depends on SNAP and every state trying to do the right thing.
So the USDA has released a statement last night on what's progressing about the SNAP benefits and the issuance of SNAP benefits. So essentially they stated that states immediately must release 65% of the benefits, which is a 35% reduction of what was originally promised before the administration appealed the full benefits. Now, the administration is saying that they can't issue full benefits because it's going to take money away from other programs such as WIC. The real reason, however, is because they did not appropriate funds for SNAP benefits for this fiscal year. So they've been pulling from the contingency funds since right around maybe August, September, to pay the SNAP benefits that have recently gone out in the months of September and October. So therefore, there are no benefits. There is no money in the contingency funds because they've already used it up. The USDA also stated in the statement that they released last night that any states that issued full benefits were to immediately undo what they did in order to release those benefits because they were not authorized. So if you have full benefits that were issued to you via SNAP, I would recommend you use those benefits as soon as possible. Like, buy what you need, buy what you want, just use it up before they snatch them back. It's also quite possible that the next benefits that go out after November, you may see a reduction in your benefits because they're going to take those monies back.
There's nobody representing us. And I have one question. Where is that money? Because that's really what this boils down to. Because why are y'all fighting that hard? And I'm sure that you already know this, but if you don't have any idea what I'm talking about, why did the Supreme Court yesterday vote and block a order from a lower court to allow full SNAP payments to come through? Over 40 million Americans depend on SNAP. And I get it. Y'all are going to say, oh, well, maybe they need to go get a job. What about the children? It's like 13 or 14 million children. Like, do you guys not care about children? Because I thought that was the whole thing, that you did care about children. You think children have a right to be born and blah, blah, blah. What about once they get here? Do they not have a right to eat? And somehow, some way, we have been convinced, well, not me, I'm not in that group, and a bunch of y'all who are watching it are not in this group, because I know it's always the people who don't need to see these videos, they see the videos, but somehow people have been convinced that people who don't make enough money are the problem, not the millionaires and billionaires. It's the everyday working people are the problem. It's rich versus poor. And I've been saying that for a very, very long time. And somehow the rich people are getting all of us poor people to turn on each other. We are officially in hell.
Not everything has two sides, okay? Not paying for food stamps is as fucking ugly as the mustache on my face. I'm doing this for Movember to try to raise money. The administration is denying food stamps to poor people for no good reason, just to cause pain that they think Democrats will have to own. Even if they were right, even if the courts hadn't condemned their position multiple times, even if the reality of the law were not plain in the reading of the language, even if they hadn't allowed food stamps to be paid for out of the reserve fund in the first shutdown, in the Trump administration and had the agency say it could be used for that, and then change that guidance out of convenience. Even if all of the facts weren't so fucking obvious, the reason they're denying it is malignant. And I don't know how any conservative can like it. And I don't know how anybody on the left can't see how it's not enough to just say, this sucks. Take the message that what we need is something better. Feed the fucking poor people.
Walmart is one of the biggest employers in the United States, yet majority of their staff receive SNAP benefits. And y'all on this app talking about just get a job. They got a job. They got a job. McDonald's up there too. McDonald's employees are also some of the biggest recipients of SNAP benefits. Y'all love to say, oh, people out here just laying on their ass and we just giving out food stamps. People ain't got no jobs. They do have jobs. They work. Where have you been the past few years? They've been asking at Walmart to give them $15 an hour. $15 an hour ain't even livable anymore. Maybe a couple years ago when they first started, but it's not livable anymore. And in Georgia, the minimum wage is still $7.25. They're still paying people $7, $8, $9, $10 an hour to show up to work. So when y'all sit here and say, oh, they don't have jobs and they're just giving it out. They're not just giving it out. These people are clocking in every day, fixing your Big Macs, fixing your McDoubles, bringing your Walmart orders to your car. And yet you're mad. You're mad. What are you mad for? They're working. They're working like you said. Oh, get a job. They are working. How about we be mad at the billionaires? Let's be mad at the billionaires for not giving their employees a livable wage. And let's take the hate off of people that are just trying to get by. Please and thank you.
So I try really hard to not pay attention to politics on the weekends because, self-care and everything. However, I just saw an update about the fucking SNAP shenanigans that are going on in the country right now. So because states are not getting SNAP benefits paid out because the government shut down, they've been finding money elsewhere to pay out SNAP benefits to their populations. Even my own fucking state of Louisiana has done that, shockingly. So most of these states have found money in their rainy day funds or, where else. I honestly don't know where Louisiana found it, but that's a whole other story. Anyways, so they're doing this because to not be evil and to make sure people in their states can eat. And the Trump administration just announced today that states cannot do that. And they're ordering states to actually call back that money from people that they've already given it to. And they said if they don't do that, if the states don't do that, take back money for people to eat food, then they're going to be penalized. I don't know how or why. And again, some of you keep coming into my comments saying things like, oh, you don't understand the full picture. You don't understand the reasons and blah, blah, blah. Fine. Why? Great. Tell me why they're doing this in a way that is not just evil and cruel. It's seriously, this is not rhetorical. If you can tell me why.
What happened yesterday with SNAP was insane. All day, so many changes. So how did we get here and what's actually happening? When the federal government shut down, that money that normally funds SNAP stopped flowing. The USDA, which runs SNAPs, could no longer draw from its usual federal budget because Congress hadn't passed a new spending bill. The agency still had a small pot of contingency fund, but that was $4.6 billion. And that only covers half, 8 to 10 billion needed each month to fund benefits for more than 42 million Americans. The USDA said it legally couldn't use all of that money to issue full benefits. They claimed that contingency funds were meant for administrative continuity, not the entire benefit load. So under the direction of Trump administration, the USDA announced that for November 2025, it would issue partial SNAP benefits, and we saw that hit all of the state agencies, about half of the normal amount. So until the shutdown ended or Congress approved more funding. That announcement was immediately met with lawsuits from SNAP recipients and advocacy groups across the country, and this was their argument. The law requires the USDA shall issue full benefits using any legally available funds, and families shouldn't be punished for Congress inaction. That was the first big win, and so much chaos ensued afterwards, all yesterday. The federal district court in Rhode Island agreed with the plaintiffs and ruled that the USDA must issue full November benefits. The court said that the agency had a broader funding authority than it was admitting, including the ability to use Section 32 funds and other reserves. That ruling landed, and suddenly USDA was on the clock to pay out full benefits, and states had to decide what to do. I knew that information, and I'm thinking, okay, what's Oklahoma going to do? Because yes, we're going to see full benefits, but Oklahoma paused, and some states started processing full payments right away. Others, not wanting to violate federal guidance, used state dollars to front the benefits temporarily, assuming that if USDA eventually released federal funds, they'd be reimbursed later. Obviously, kind of like a patchwork response there. Some families saw benefits hit their cards yesterday and others didn't. And that was like state to state. So the USDA, backed by Trump administration, appealed the district's court order to the U.S. Court of Appeals for the D.C. Circuit. They also asked for a stay, essentially saying, let's pause that lower court ruling and we'll fight this out. Yesterday afternoon, the Court of Appeals denied that request. That meant for several hours, the lower court's order was in effect and states could keep sending full November benefits. I mean, we were all celebrating. I was celebrating. I didn't like publicly say anything online, but I was like celebrating, telling everybody I saw. For a moment, it looked like the issue was settled, at least for the month of November. Late last night, the Trump administration made an emergency request to the U.S. Supreme Court, asking it to temporarily block the lower court's ruling. A single justice, the one who oversees emergency appeals from the D.C. Circuit, issued an administrative stay just before midnight. That's not a final decision. It's a short, like 2-day pause while the full Supreme Court decides whether to extend the stay or lift it. But it has immediate effect of freezing the lower court's order. States that already issued those full benefits during like that limbo yesterday are hoping they guessed right, that the Supreme Court eventually sides with the lower court and that USDA reimburses them before the next month rolls around. So that was a lot. And I'm still doing my best to understand all the things that happened yesterday. And I think we have a really long road ahead of us.
It's time to speak up. Update on the legal battle regarding SNAP. So yesterday, a federal district judge told the Trump administration they had violated the previous order and they had to release SNAP benefits by today. Instead of doing that, the administration has filed an emergency appeal asking that they not have to pay those benefits. Now, to be clear, there is $5 billion that was earmarked by Congress to be used in a situation like this where there was an emergency. And in fact, in his first term, when there was a government shutdown, they did use contingency funds to continue to fund SNAP, but not this time. They're not wanting to pay, and they're fighting in every way possible to keep from paying SNAP benefits. Now, I am hearing from some people around the country that they are receiving some benefits because certain states have taken action to fund some of that. But as far as the funds set aside by the federal government, well, Trump's still not going to release those. Wonder if those funds are still there. Go love your neighbor.